All right, scholars, let's take a look at the interaction with new material. The sixth grade class at Jefferson Middle School completed a survey about different physical activities they do. Students could select any activity that they do at least once per week. The table below shows the fraction of the class that participates in each kind of activity. Order the activities from most popular to least popular. All right, and we have several fractions here that do not have a common denominator, and from the looks of it, pretty challenging to create a common denominator for these fractions. So we're going to try to round using some benchmarks here. I'm going to create a number line right over here using the same benchmarks that we used on the Think About It. There we go. So I'm going to call this right over here. This will be 0. So it'll be 0 right here. And then this will be half. And then over here will be a 1. Okay. So starting with bike riding, this is 2 over 4. So this one actually is exactly a half. Half of 4 is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2 over 4 right here because it is exactly a half. Next, we have 10 over 15, which before I decide where to put the 10 over 15, I want to look at the other fractions here. I got 1 over 4, and I know that's less than a half because half of 4 is 2. 3 over 20, I know that's less than a half because half of 20 is 10. And then 1 over 6, that one is also less than half because half of 6 is 3. So I'm going to underline in orange all the fractions that are all less than half. So that means I now know that 10 over 15 is actually the greatest fraction because it is more than half, because half of 15 is between 7 and 8. It's 7 and 5/10. So I'm going to write the 10 over 15, and because in between half and 1 is probably going to be around 10 or 11. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 10 over 15 somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit further than the middle. Okay. All right. So now I got to see what to do about these other 3 fractions, because just by looking at them, I'm not really sure which one is the smallest or the greatest, or which fraction we could call the least. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm actually going to create common denominators for all 3 of these fractions right over here. And we could compare 2 fractions at a time, but we could make this happen a lot quicker if we compare all 3 fractions at the same time, which means we need a denominator that all 3 fractions go into. And all 3 fractions do multiply into 60. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and create 3 equivalent fractions with the new denominator of 60 here. Okay, so how many times would I need to multiply 4 to go into 60? That would be 15. So I'm going to be multiplying this fraction right here by 15 over 15. So 4 times 15 is 60, and 15 times 1 is 15. Next, we have 20. So 20 multiplies into 16 3 times. So I'm going to multiply the 3 over 20 by 3 over 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, and then my last fraction is 1 over 6, and 6 will multiply into 60 if I multiply it by 10. So I'm going to multiply this fraction with 10 over 10, and 1 times 10 is 10. So now I can compare these fractions, and we could see why it was so challenging. Look how close these 2 numerators are. It would have been, we probably would have needed to guess without doing this, and not really sure if we got it right. 9 is so close to 10, but now I can go ahead and put these on the number line. I could see that 9 is going to be the smallest fraction, and that one is skateboarding, so that's going to be 3 over 20. So 3 over 20 is going to be the one I'm going to put closest to the 0. And then next is 10 over 60, which was the swimming. So that's 1 over 6. And then the one that was a little bit greater than the other two, 15 over 60, that one's going to be playing a sport, and that one is 1 over 4. 1 over 4. And I know 1 over 4 is kind of in the middle of 0 and half, because 1 over 4 is half of 2 over 4. Okay, so somewhere in the middle here. So the instructions to complete this was to order all these fractions from most popular to least popular. So let me go ahead and type that up right over here. So I'm just going to need to go the other way. So our greatest fraction was 10 over 15. So, and you could have also wrote the actual activity. So 10 over 15, which is walking or jogging. Okay. Next, the next activity is 2 over 4, and that is bike riding. That's the second most popular activity. So the most people from this 6th grade class at Jefferson Middle School that took this survey selected jogging or walking. Okay. And then next was bike riding. Next, we have 1 over 4, which is playing a sport. And then next is 1 over 6, which is swimming. And then the least popular activity is the skateboarding, which is 3 over 20.